Welcome to Monday Moments, and this week we've invited back Matt Smith, who's managing director of Buckingham Gate in London. And Matt, a question that's been hovering around my mind as I look forward to our conversation today is: I know you want to create something that's really big, um, but I'd love some clarity on why you want to do that. What's going on inside of you that makes you want this big thing in 20 years' time? Can you just help us be a bit more specific on what's going on inside you?
Yeah, I guess we've always had a sense that we do want to create something quite big and quite disruptive in the financial planning world, and that's not it's not necessarily because of anything financial. I think we've reached a point in business where the business is sufficient to meet all of our basic needs, and we live a comfortable lifestyle. We're very happy and very content with how things are performing, but ever since we started, really, we've always had this sense that the financial planning world is a world that really should be disrupted. And I think it's almost unique in respect of the fact that there are several businesses out there that charge substantially more than the average, but yet deliver perhaps a subpar service to their clients.
Right.
I struggle to think of any other areas where that's possible in business. Normally kind of competitive forces drive that sort of thing out of the business world.
Yeah.
It's either existing players have to reduce their prices or up their game to continue to compete. Whereas in financial planning, for many, many years, we seem to have had this world where actually sometimes the more expensive providers actually deliver quite a lot less in terms of not just the technical service that they did, in terms of the experience and the kinds of advice areas that they're helping clients with, but also in terms of the service and the relationship that they're delivering. I mean, if I go back to some of my previous roles, with very good companies, very good employers, but there's a natural turnover of advisors and turnover of staff. So you end up in a situation where clients are being chopped and changed every maybe 2 or 3 years on average is probably typical in those larger organizations.
Yeah.
And that's something that you don't get in the smaller, perhaps more boutique world. So I suppose what we're trying to do is take that service orientated approach, take that relationship and just make it larger and disrupt those existing players, because I just don't think that those kinds of businesses should be able to exist in any competitive landscape. There should be competitive forces that remove that. And if other businesses are delivering a better service at a lower cost, logically every single client should be served by one of those businesses. It makes no sense for things to be any other way. So I guess that's what we're trying to achieve, really. And the challenge, I suppose, in doing that is to maintain all of those small business benefits, if you like, the small business ethos, the relationship, the quality of service, and just amplify it. And although that's incredibly difficult, it's certainly not impossible. That there are rare examples out there of incredibly large businesses that have kind of maintained that relentless service focus, if you like, and they're famous for their service. You could use examples like Apple, like American Express, like Disney. These are massive corporations, but they still have fantastic service. Things are still always wonderful, if you like. When you go to Disneyland, things are pretty amazing and they're always amazing and they're consistently amazing. You never see the characters with their hats off. You never see them drop out of what they're meant to be doing. Things are always clean. They're always tidy. People always have a smile. And that's the kind of organization that we're trying to create with Buckingham Gate.
So how on earth do you do that with the size that you're dreaming of? And that sounds a bit disparaging because I've known you now for 7 years, and you dreamed crazy things when I first met you when you were about 25, 26 years old, and they're happening, and they're happening. So how do you take that amazing thing that you're creating at Buckingham Gate and then multiply that to huge. I mean, how do you do that and keep that going?
I think it's about 2 or 3 key areas really. I think perhaps the first and the most important is the culture of the business. And culture, I think, flows from the leadership of the business, but it permeates every element of a business. And you reach a point where if the culture is strong enough, the team members start to then teach that culture to other team members, and it becomes this kind of halo effect where everybody's kind of following that same ethos. They're all kind of bought into the culture of the organization, and I think that's what really big businesses do really well, because you can't micromanage a team of 40,000 people or 50. If you look at, again, the Apples and the American Expresses, the Disneys, they've got thousands or hundreds of thousands of staff all over the world. You can't micromanage every single one of them. So I think the culture of the business really provides the sort of operating system, if you like. It's a set of principles that all staff can follow. And on top of that, I think you then need to have really, really good processes. And the key for me, I'm not sure if anybody's ever come up with this little saying before, but one of our kind of key projects at the moment is what we're calling process with personality.
Okay.
So it's having a procedure, a set of processes, a set of systems that the business operates with, without depriving people of their personality, without stripping away what makes each individual unique. And even if I look at the advisors that we have within the practice, we're all very different in terms of our personality. We're all very different in terms of the kinds of clients that we love to work with, and the profiles of people that we are attracted to and that are attracted to us. But that doesn't mean that you can't have that, but with a robust kind of systems and processes operation in the background that supports it all. So I think that's what most big businesses do quite badly, is they're very good at systems and processes because they have to be. You can't have a business that employs 60,000 people without it. But I think in doing so, they strip people of their personality. And, if I go back to my days in some of the kind of multinational companies that I've worked for in years gone by, you very much felt like that things were so rigid. Everything was a precise script. And if you didn't say exactly the words that were on the screen, then you were reprimanded and you got into trouble and you had to put your hand up to go to the toilet and all this sort of silly stuff. And I exaggerate only ever so slightly, to be honest, in terms of micromanagement. But yeah, I think that strips people of their personality. So, in a desire to create consistency, they kind of rob individuals of who they are, and everybody says exactly the same thing. And you want people to do sort of the same thing, but in their own way, with their own personality kind of sat on top. And there's no reason that you can't do that. And again, I think you can look at businesses like Apple and Disney. They're great examples of that in action. These are massive businesses, in fact, the largest company in the world. But you walk into an Apple store, everyone's a different person, both visually and in terms of their personality. Apple lets people be who they are to extreme lengths. They break all the rules. You've got people with blue hair and with tattoos, and that's them. That's their personality coming out. And Apple kind of encourages that, whereas a lot of other businesses would try and suppress all of that. And of course, there are different. We're in a financial planning world. We're not in a retail high street store. There has to be some differences there, but I don't think process means you have to rob people of their personality.
So that's going to be a challenge for you. Just before we conclude, I'd love you just to talk a little bit about your team, because they are pretty young, aren't they? And is that consciously done?
Is it consciously? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's conscious. We certainly have never had any kind of limitation on age when it comes to recruitment. Not that would be appropriate given the situation, but I think people are attracted to the vibe that the team gives off. We are a young team, and that's kind of perhaps a byproduct of our culture and a byproduct of the way that we run the business and the way that we do recruitment. And I think people are attracted to our vision if you like. You know, we have big ambitions. We do want to kind of change the world of financial planning, and that feels a little bit crazy at the moment. And there's a certain type of person that kind of buys into that slightly delusional, you know, future vision.
Yeah.
But then all visions start off a bit crazy, don't they? You know, when Elon Musk said he was going to fly a Tesla into space, most people probably thought he was absolutely off his rocker. But there we go, he's gone and done it. And he says he wants to die on Mars. And I frankly, I think he probably will, given the trajectory at the moment. I think he will be successful in achieving that objective. It sounds bonkers, but he's proven people wrong many, many times. And, you know, there are all sorts of entrepreneurs that have done similar things over the years. So I guess that kind of vision is very attractive to people that see a very long future in a business. You know, they're people that want to be somewhere, not for 3 years, not for 6 months, for 6 years or 10 years or 20, you know, decades potentially. And we love that. And that's great, because the people that we work with have got that sort of time span ahead of them. And we sincerely hope that the team today is still the team in 20 or 30 years time. You know, we're very, very proud of the team that we've created. And, you know, I sincerely hope that these are people that we're still working with many, many years into the future.
So final point I'd love to ask is, do all the crazy ideas come from you, or does it come up from the team also?
I think the team is starting to get a lot more creative. And I think, you know, when people join an organization, there's a natural bedding in process. People have to learn the ropes as they are. And people are always a little bit reluctant to sort of rock the boat from day one. But we're very, very positive on having the team's input. And I think especially as a business gets larger, again, the same principle applies. You can't run everything through a single person, a single team. You have to empower people to create new things and to create solutions to problems. And we're very, very keen to have the team's input. And we'll change things very, very quickly sometimes. And this is based on the team's input. This is based on feedback from the team, from clients. This is a slightly trivial issue, but we recently introduced a new annual review kind of prep sheet that we were sending out to clients, and we were very proud of it. We spent a long time discussing and debating and putting it all together. It's going to be brilliant. We're going to get all this lovely data from clients, and we started to send it out, and they just hated it. The clients perceived that it was a lot of homework. They couldn't. I've got to put all this stuff together. They just viewed it as a job essentially, and you could sort of hear the sighs coming through the email. So, literally within about a week and a half, we just twigged, do you know what? This isn't working. Yes, we've spent time doing it. Yes, we've spent energy on this project, but it's just not working. People are not buying it. It's not what people want, essentially. So we went all the way back to the drawing board and completely redesigned that process. But we did that within a week and a half. It was very, very apparent that it wasn't working. So let's change it. We changed it almost immediately. And I think some businesses would be reluctant to move that quickly. They'd kind of perceive it as whiplash. But that's the beauty of this kind of team, is we are, very adaptive, very dynamic, and we're very, very happy to kind of experiment with things and break the rules. We've recently started another, perhaps slightly controversial move. We've just started charging a modest fee for the first meeting. And literally just today on our kind of team chat board, one of the people on the team said, I think this might be the best thing we've ever done, because we're working with the people that want to work with us. We're able to dedicate more time, more energy, more attention to those people that do want to work with us. And actually, the people that perhaps would have had a meeting but then not have engaged are the people that are just not engaging in the first place now. So that the people we are working with are precisely the sorts of clients we want to be working with, and we've got more time and more energy now to focus on those individuals. So it was again a move that people perceive as quite risky, quite controversial, and again, it's breaking the mold ever so slightly of the traditional free first hour consultation. But yeah, the team says it all. Best thing we've ever done, perhaps. So things like that. We're very, very willing to experiment and just test things, see how they work. And again, I think that's the beauty of having a kind of a fairly, boutique, fairly dynamic team, we're happy to do those experiments and see what happens, essentially.
So Matt, how would you like to be remembered? Somebody asked me, so what was this Matt Smith like? Assuming I lived that long. And I said, well, this is what people said about him. He was this. What would you like this to be?
That really does come down to the first line of our mission statement as a firm. Our mission is to empower our clients to enjoy their wealth and achieve financial peace of mind. And I think that is our mission. That's what we want to achieve, really. We see both sides of the wealth spectrum. We tend to deal with fairly high net worth individuals in relative terms, and it's fair to say that the majority of clients that we work with probably have too much money. It's fair to say. So that comes with its own set of problems. It's a nice problem to have, but it does come with its own set of challenges and problems. And I think the biggest problem people have is actually the letting go of the too much money. They've spent so much time and energy accumulating the big pot of money. When they perhaps retire or they get to slightly later in life and it's time to think about estate planning and gifting or enjoying the wealth that they've created, they're very reluctant to do so. They feel like it shouldn't be allowed or they can't afford to. So I think if we can leave people in a position where they're happy to enjoy the fruits of their labor, because after all, money is simply a means to an end. It doesn't really have any value in of itself. If we can do that and give people peace of mind, because we also find that despite the fact that these people have evidentially got too much money in most cases, that still creates a lot of worry. I think when you've achieved something, the worry is then, am I going to lose it? Is something going to derail this progress that I've made? So a big part of our work is giving people peace of mind and reassurance that actually when you've got to that point, there's not, as long as the plan is managed effectively, there's not too much that can happen to derail you. So I think, if we could achieve those two things, I'd die a happy man.
So just give me that in one phrase. So here's what I did, here's what we did together, and it was this. What is that one phrase?
Yeah, I think it would be that we've empowered people to enjoy their wealth and achieve financial peace of mind.
That's it. And if you did that to thousands of people, then what? How would that feel?
Yeah, we'd be pretty happy with that, I think.
Okay. Matt Smith, the enjoyment of peace of mind, man. But enjoy the money and the peace of mind. That could be your legacy, but big and disruptive. Yeah. Thank you for joining me on Monday Moments. Lovely having you. I look forward to joining you all on next week Monday Moments. Thank you, Matt.
No problem. Thanks for having me.